She didn't scream. She didn't cry. Emma just closed the bedroom door quietly, pressed her 5-month pregnant belly with both hands, and disappeared into the soul night, leaving behind only a diary that would bring the most feared man in Korea to his knees. The penthouse smelled like leather and lies. Emma Caldwell had learned that early in her marriage to Jin Wook, the kind of man whose name made businessmen sweat and bodyguards straighten their spines. She'd fallen in love with a version of him that laughed softly in the dark, who traced her braids with careful fingers and whispered her name like it was sacred. That version felt like a ghost now. She stood at the floor-to-ceiling window 32 floors above Seoul, her hand resting on the curve of her belly. 5 months. A daughter, the ultrasound said. She'd cried happy tears alone in the clinic because Jin Wook had a meeting. He always had meetings. Emma was black, American, and magnificently out of place in this world, and she'd made peace with that. What she hadn't made peace with was the silence. The coldness that had crept into their bed like winter. The perfume she didn't recognize on his collar. The phone calls he took in the bathroom at 2 a.m. She opened her diary on the kitchen counter, uncapped her pen. Day 147. He came home at 3 a.m. again. Didn't kiss me. Didn't ask about the baby. Oh, just showered and slept on the far edge of the bed like I was something he was afraid of catching. She closed it. Somewhere downstairs, a car door slammed. Jin Wook was home. Before we go further, have you ever loved someone so completely that their silence hurt more than any word could? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This story is about to get real. The elevator doors opened and Jin Wook walked in looking like Sin in a tailored suit. Emma watched him from the kitchen. He didn't see her at first. He was typing on his phone, jaw tight, that familiar coldness wrapped around him like armor. Then he looked up. You're still awake. I live here, Emma said quietly. He set his phone face down on the counter, a small movement, loaded with guilt. You should rest. The baby... Jin Wook. Her voice stopped him. Where were you? Silence stretched between them like a wire pulled too tight. Business. She nodded slowly, then slid a photograph across the counter. Her hand was steady. Her heart was not. The photo showed Jin Wook outside the Lotte Hotel, his hand on the waist of a Korean woman in a red dress. Beautiful, familiar somehow, smiling up at him in a way that didn't look like business. His face didn't crumble, it froze. Emma. Her name is Soo-yeon, isn't it? Emma's voice was barely a whisper. Your assistant sent this to the wrong number. I'm guessing she meant to send it to your brother. Jin Wook said nothing, and in the nothing, yet Emma heard everything. She pressed her hand to her belly. Her daughter kicked, sharp, urgent, as if she too felt the ground disappearing. How long? Emma asked. Still nothing. How long, Jin Wook? He exhaled, looked away. That single gesture, the refusal to meet her eyes, was its own brutal answer. Emma picked up her diary from the counter, slipped on her coat, walked to the elevator. Emma, wait. The doors closed. She didn't look back. Jin Wook stood in the empty penthouse for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. He knew because he counted. Then he called his head of security. Find her. What followed was the most humiliating 12 hours of his life, and Jin Wook had once survived a knife fight in a Busan warehouse. His men swept every hospital, every hotel, every place Emma had ever mentioned loving in Seoul. The Han River Walkway, the little bookshop in Insadong, the 24-hour diner where she ordered waffles and called them almost as good as home. Nothing. She had vanished completely, 5 months pregnant, into a city of 10 million people. Meanwhile, Soo-yeon called 3 times. He declined everyone. His brother Hyun-jae arrived at the penthouse at dawn, took one look at Jin Wook's face and said, What did you do? She found out. Hyun-jae closed his eyes. About Soo-yeon. Yes, Jin Wook. Hyun-jae's voice cracked with rare emotion. Oh, she's pregnant. She's alone. She doesn't even speak Korean fluently, and you. He stopped himself, pressed his knuckles to his mouth. I know. Jin Wook's voice was hollow. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, you just lost the only real thing you've ever had. Jin Wook walked to the window. Seoul glittered below, indifferent and enormous. On the counter, Emma's favorite mug sat unwashed, half filled with cold chamomile tea. He picked it up, set it down. Couldn't bring himself to pour it out. She was still here somehow, in the smell of her tea, in the indent on her pillow, in the soft kick of a daughter he hadn't deserved yet. His phone buzzed. Security. No trace, sir. Jin Wook's jaw tightened. She didn't want to be found. That was the part that destroyed him. Emma had exactly $340 in cash and a carry-on bag. She'd planned nothing, and yet somehow her feet carried her to the one place she'd always felt invisible in the best way. Itaewon, all the international district, loud, messy, and gloriously unbothered by Korean social hierarchy. She found a small guest house run by a Nigerian woman named Adais, who took one look at Emma's swollen belly, her red-rimmed eyes, and her white-knuckled grip on her diary and said, "Rooms at the top. Bathrooms shared. No men allowed past 9 p.m. Emma almost smiled. Perfect. She'd been there 2 days when Ha-yeon Jeo found her. Not Jin Wook. Ha-yeon Jae. He appeared in the guesthouse doorway, holding 2 cups of convenience store ramen, looking deeply uncomfortable. I'm not here for him, he said quickly. I'm here for you, and for my niece. Emma stared at him. How did you find me? Your prenatal vitamin prescription. You refilled it at a pharmacy 3 blocks away. He held out the ramen. Can I sit down? I have a bad knee. She let him in. They ate in silence for a while, the strange intimacy of 2 people who both loved someone difficult. He's not sleeping, Hyun-jae finally said. Good. He fired Soo-yeon. I don't care. Hyun-jae nodded. Didn't push. Then quietly said, He found your diary, Emma, the one you left in the penthouse. He's been reading it. Emma's spoon stopped moving. He read it cover to cover, twice. Hyun-jae's voice dropped. And when he got to the entry about naming your daughter, he'd locked himself in his office and didn't come out for 6 hours. Emma stared at her ramen. Her throat tightened. I don't want to hear this, she whispered. But she didn't ask him to stop. This is where it gets deep. If you've ever poured your heart into a diary nobody was supposed to read, you know exactly how Emma feels right now. Tell us in the comments. Should she go back or stay gone? And if this story is hitting home, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story like this one. Jin Wook read Emma's diary the way a dying man reads a love letter. Desperately and hungrily with shaking hands. It started on their wedding day. He looked at me at the altar like I was the only clear thing in a blurry world. I thought, this man will either be the best thing that ever happened to me, or he will ruin me completely. He turned pages, months of entries, every small joy she'd swallowed alone. He forgot my birthday. I baked my own cake, ate it by the window. The city looked beautiful. I pretended that was enough. The baby kicked for the first time tonight. I grabbed his hand and pressed it to my stomach. He was on a call. He pulled away. I don't think he noticed I cried. I found a red lipstick mark on his shirt collar today. Not my shade. Not even close. Jin Wook's chest cracked open slowly, page by page. But it was the final entry, written the night she disappeared, that stopped his breathing entirely. I saw them tonight, through the window of his private office, her hands on his face, his eyes closed like he was finally somewhere peaceful. I stood there holding our ultrasound photo, the one I was going to surprise him with tonight. I'd written, "She has your eyes, Jin Wook," across the bottom. I put it in my coat pocket. I picked up my diary. And I thought, he never actually chose me. I was just the one who stayed. My daughter deserves a mother who knows her worth. So tonight, I choose us. Jin Wook sat on the floor of his office, this man who commanded fear from hardened criminals, and pressed Emma's diary to his chest. He hadn't known she was coming to surprise him that night. He hadn't known she'd seen everything. He hadn't known about the ultrasound photo still folded in her coat pocket. His daughter had his eyes, and he had destroyed everything before she was even born. Hyun-jae became an unlikely bridge. He visited Emma every evening with food she actually wanted. Jollof rice from an African restaurant nearby, mango smoothies, banana bread, that he admitted took 3 attempts to get right. You baked this yourself? Emma raised an eyebrow. Jin Wook taught me, back when we were kids. Our mother was always working, so he'd make us food after school. Hyun-jae shrugged carefully. He was a different person then. Emma was quiet. What happened to him? Our father. The words landed heavy. He ran the organization before Jin Wook, cold man, believed love was weakness, spent 15 years teaching Jin Wook to shut everything down. Every soft feeling, like every vulnerable moment. Hyun-jae looked at his hands. By the time Jin Wook was 20, he was exactly what our father wanted, and our father died proud. Emma absorbed this. That's not an excuse. No, Hyun-jae agreed. It's not, but it might be an explanation. That night, Emma opened her diary to a fresh page and wrote something new. I understand broken people. I was one once. After my mom died, I shut everyone out for 2 years. I know what it looks like to love someone and not know how. That doesn't make what he did okay, but it makes him human. She stared at the page. Then, slowly, she wrote, I miss him. 3 words she hadn't admitted even to herself. She pressed her palm to her belly. Her daughter shifted. Slow, rolling, warm. I know, Emma whispered. I miss him too. Jin Wook came himself on the 8th day. No bodyguards, no calls ahead. He appeared at the guest house door in a plain jacket, looking like a man who hadn't slept in a week, because he hadn't. A daisy led him up with a warning look that said, I will end you more eloquently than words. Emma opened the door and felt her heart do something complicated and painful. You look terrible, she said. I know. She stepped aside. Let him in. He sat. She stood. The space between them was only 6 feet, but felt like continents. I read your diary, he started. I know. Emma, Did you love her? The question came out flat. Direct. Emma had practiced being soft her whole life, and she was done with it. Soo-yeon, did you actually love her? Jin Wook met her eyes. No. Then what was she? He was quiet for a long moment. Familiar. She never needed anything from me. Never looked at me like I might disappoint her. His jaw tightened. With you. I was always terrified. You saw me, actually saw me. And I didn't know what to do with that. Emma stared at him. So you ran to someone safer? Yes. And you think that honesty fixes it? No. Nothing fixes it. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. But I need you to know. I read every word you wrote. Every birthday you spent alone. Every time I pulled away. Every tear you didn't let me see. His voice fractured. I didn't deserve you, Emma. I still don't. But my daughter? Don't. Emma's voice cracked like ice. Don't use our daughter to get to me. I'm not. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a folded piece of paper, the ultrasound photo. She has your eyes, Jin Wook. I found this on the floor that night, after you left. Emma's breath caught. I've been carrying it every day. His voice dropped to almost nothing. I'm sorry, Emma. I am so sorry. She turned away so he wouldn't see her face break. Get out, she whispered. Emma? Please. The words shattered on her lips. Just go. He went. Yeah, Emma sat on the edge of the bed and finally let herself cry. Not the quiet, dignified tears she'd perfected. Ugly, heaving, long overdue crying. For every cold night, every empty morning, every moment she'd loved him harder to compensate for his distance. Her daughter kicked fiercely. I know, baby, Emma sobbed. I know. 3 days of silence. Jin Wook didn't call, didn't send Hyun Jae, didn't appear at the door. Emma waited, hating herself for waiting, hating herself for noticing. On the fourth day, a package arrived. No note, just a small wooden box. Inside was a bracelet, traditional Korean knotwork, deep red, the kind mothers tie on their daughters' wrists for protection. And beneath it, folded carefully, was a letter. Jin Wook's handwriting. Precise, controlled, wait, but the words weren't. Emma, I've spent my entire life building walls and calling it strength. My father taught me that love was a liability. I believed him. I let that belief cost me the most valuable thing I have ever been given. You. I'm not writing this to ask you to come back. I'm writing it because you deserve to hear what I should have said 1,000 times before now. You are extraordinary. The way you love, fully, quietly, without conditions, it terrified me. Because I knew I didn't deserve it. So I sabotaged it. The way broken men do. I'm in therapy now, every day. It's brutal and humiliating and necessary. The bracelet was my mother's. She wore it when she was pregnant with me. I want our daughter to have it. Whatever you decide, stay or go, I will spend the rest of my life making sure she knows her father chose to become worthy of her. And if somewhere in some version of our future, you find it possible to let me try again, I will not waste it. Not one single day. Jin Wook. Emma read it 4 times. Then she sat very still, her hand on her belly, and asked herself the question she'd been avoiding. Not whether he deserved another chance, but whether she deserved the love she'd always wanted, and whether she believed, truly believed, that Jin Wook could become the man capable of giving it. Her daughter moved inside her, slow, steady, certain. Emma picked up her phone. Right here. This is the moment everything hangs on one choice. Have you ever had to decide between protecting your heart and fighting for your love? Tell us what you would do in Emma's place in the comments below. And if this story is moving you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. We drop emotional stories like this every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming. She didn't call him. She showed up. Emma stood outside Jin Wook's office building at 7 p.m., wearing her coat over her swollen belly, the red bracelet on her wrist, her diary tucked under her arm. She'd taken a taxi, alone. No announcement. The security guard at the front desk recognized her and went pale. Mrs. Kang, is he in? Yes, but... She was already in the elevator. The top floor was quiet. Jin Wook's office light was on. Through the glass panel, she could see him at his desk. Jacket off, sleeves rolled, staring at nothing. The ultrasound photo was pinned to the wall directly in front of him. She has your eyes, Jin Wook. She knocked once. He looked up. The expression on his face, raw, stunned, terrified, hopeful, was the most honest thing she'd ever seen on him. She opened the door. I'm not here because I've forgiven everything, Emma said clearly. I'm here because I believe people can change, and because my daughter needs her father to be the man I know you're capable of being. She paused. And because I love you, even now, even after all of it. I love you, and I'm furious about that, for the record. Jin Wook stood slowly, like he was afraid sudden movement would break the moment. I'm in therapy, he said quietly. 3 times a week. Hyun Jae told me. I ended everything with Soo Yeon before you left. That night, I know. Emma's voice softened. I know, Jin Wook. He crossed the room in 4 steps and stopped directly in front of her. Close enough that she could see the exhaustion carved into his face, the red in his eyes, the way his hands hung at his sides, open, not reaching, not grabbing, just open, waiting for permission. Emma reached out and took his hand. She pressed it to her belly. Their daughter kicked immediately, strong, indignant, very much her mother's child. Jin Wook's breath broke. His forehead dropped to Emma's. His shoulders shook once at that single devastating crack in the armor. And then his arms came around her carefully, like she was something sacred, like he finally understood she was. "I'm so sorry," he whispered into her hair. "For every night, every time I pulled away, every birthday, every ultrasound I missed." "You'll make them up," Emma whispered back. "Every single one." They stood like that for a long time, 32 floors above Seoul, the city glittering below, indifferent no more. On the desk behind him, her diary sat open to the last entry she'd written that morning, before she came. Day 159. "I've decided that my love is not a weakness. It is a weapon. And today I'm choosing to aim it at our future instead of our past. Jin Wook doesn't deserve me yet. But he's learning. And maybe that's enough to begin." 6 months later, Kim Ji-soo entered the world at 3:47 a.m., screaming, furious, and completely perfect. Jin Wook held her first. He stood in that delivery room, this man who had made grown men tremble and wept without shame. He pressed his lips to his daughter's forehead and whispered something in Korean. Emma, exhausted and radiant, watched him. "What did you say to her?" He looked up, eyes wet. "I told her she has her mother's strength, and that her father will spend the rest of his life being worthy of both of them." Emma smiled. Slow, full, real. Good answer. And that, beautiful souls, is what happens when a broken man finally chooses to be brave. Emma didn't just save herself. She gave Jin Wook the chance to save himself too. That's not weakness. That's the most powerful kind of love there is. If this story moved you, touched something real in your chest, leave a comment telling us what moment hit you the hardest. Was it the diary? The bracelet? Or the moment Emma showed up anyway? And if you're new here, welcome home. Subscribe and hit that notification bell because every single week we bring you stories about survival, love, and people who refuse to stay broken. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Until next time, rise.